students, welcome to this lecture. Today we will discuss non-governmental organizations and development administration. The objectives for this lecture are to understand the concept of non-governmental organizations, to explore various types of non-governmental organizations, and to explore the role of various non-governmental organizations in development administration. Dear students, non-governmental organizations or NGOs are organizations that operate independently of government control and are driven by a commitment to societal well-being. Their primary aim is to address various issues such as poverty, human rights, health, education, and environmental sustainability. NGOs often act as intermediaries between the government, the private sector, and the local communities, striving to bridge gaps and facilitate positive change. NGOs play a crucial role in addressing social, economic, and environmental issues worldwide. These organizations are typically independent of government control and operate based on the principles of voluntary participation, non-profit orientation, and a commitment to the public interest. Let us delve into the concept of NGOs, their functions, and various types. Let us begin with key features of NGOs. The first feature is voluntary participation. NGOs typically involve individuals who voluntarily contribute their time, skills, and resources to a cause without coercion. The second feature is non-profit orientation. Unlike for-profit businesses, NGOs do not distribute profits to shareholders. Instead, they reinvest any surplus back into their mission. The third feature is public interest focus. NGOs work for the benefit of the public, focusing on and addressing societal needs and promoting social justice. Let us now look at types of NGOs. NGOs exhibit a rich diversity in their objectives, structures, and areas of focus, leading to the classification of these entities into various types. The categorization of NGOs is based on their specific goals, target populations, geographical scope, and functional areas. Understanding the different types of NGOs help appreciate the breadth and depth of their contributions to social development. Here, we will elaborate on some prominent types of NGOs. Advocacy NGOs. Advocacy NGOs, also known as lobbying or pressure groups, focus on influencing policies and promoting specific causes through awareness campaigns, lobbying efforts, and public engagement. Some of the examples are Greenpeace, Amnesty International, and Human Rights Campaign. Another type of NGOs are service NGOs. Service-oriented NGOs directly deliver services to communities in areas such as healthcare, education, and social welfare, aiming to address immediate needs and improve quality of life. Some of the examples are Medicines Sans Frontiers or Doctors Without Borders, Oxfam, and CARE. Another type of NGOs are community-based organizations. Community-based organizations operate at the grassroots level, concentrating on the development of specific communities or regions. They address local needs and empower communities through participatory approaches. For example, local community development associations, women's groups, and youth organizations. The next type of NGOs are international NGOs. International NGOs operate across borders and address global issues. They collaborate with multiple governments and organizations to tackle challenges that transcend national boundaries. For example, World Health Organization, World Wildlife Fund, and Save the Children. Another important types of NGO is environmental NGOs. Environmental NGOs focus on issues related to conservation, sustainable development, and environmental protection. Their work often involves advocacy, research, and community engagement. For examples, Greenpeace, Sierra Club, and Friends of the Earth. The other types of NGOs are human rights NGOs. Human rights NGOs are dedicated to protecting and promoting human rights globally. They monitor violations, advocate for legal reforms, and raise awareness about human rights issues. For example, Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, and International Federation for Human Rights. Another major type of NGOs are development NGOs. Development NGOs concentrate on long-term projects aimed at improving living conditions, economic opportunities, and overall well-being in communities. Some of such NGOs are Plan International, BRAC, and Heifer International. Another major type of NGOs are emergency relief NGOs. Emergency relief NGOs respond rapidly to humanitarian crises, providing immediate aid, shelter, and support to affected populations during disasters, conflicts, or emergencies. For example, International Red Cross and Red Crescent Movement, Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders, and CARE. Another type of NGOs are advocacy and research think tanks. These NGOs combine advocacy with extensive research to influence policy decisions. They often provide evidence-based research to support their campaigns. Some of the examples include Brookings Institution, RAND Corporation, and Center for Strategic and International Studies. Another type of NGOs are microfinance NGOs. Microfinance NGOs provide financial services, including small loans, to empower individuals in low-income communities to start or expand small businesses. For example, Grameen Bank, ACCION, and Kiva. Understanding the diversity of NGO types underscores the adaptability and versatility of these organizations in addressing a wide array of global challenges. The collective impact of NGOs across these various categories contributes significantly to the advancement of social justice, sustainable development, and humanitarian relief efforts worldwide. Dear students, let us now discuss functions of NGOs. NGOs serve a myriad of functions, playing a vital role in addressing global challenges, advocating for societal change, and contributing to sustainable development. The diverse functions of NGOs span across various sectors and are instrumental in fostering positive social, economic, and environmental outcomes. Let us elaborate on the key functions of NGOs. One of the primary functions is advocacy and policy influence. NGOs act as advocates for social justice, human rights, and policy reforms. They engage with governments, international bodies, and other stakeholders to influence policies that address critical issues like poverty, inequality, and discrimination. Through lobbying, research, and public campaigns, NGOs work to shape legislation and ensure the protection of vulnerable populations. Another function of NGOs is service delivery. Many NGOs directly engage in service provision, delivering essential services in areas such as healthcare, education, and social welfare. By operating on the ground, NGOs bridge gaps in service delivery, particularly in underserved or marginalized communities. Service-oriented NGOs often collaborate with local governments and communities to ensure the effective implementation of programs. Another important function of NGOs is community development and empowerment. NGOs work at the grassroots level to empower communities through capacity building, skill development, and education. They facilitate community-driven initiatives, fostering self-reliance and sustainable development. Community-based organizations, a subset of NGOs, focus on addressing specific local needs and promoting participatory development. Another function of NGOs are related to research and analysis. NGOs conduct research to gather data, assess the impact of policies, and identify underlying causes of social issues. The findings from research contribute to evidence-based decision-making and help shape more effective interventions. NGOs often collaborate with academic institutions, think tanks, and other research organizations to enhance their analytical capabilities. Another important set of functions of NGOs are related to humanitarian assistance and emergency response. In times of crisis, such as natural disasters or conflict, NGOs play a crucial role in providing immediate humanitarian assistance. They mobilize resources, deliver aid, and coordinate relief efforts to alleviate suffering and support affected populations. Emergency relief NGOs are often among the first responders to disasters, working alongside government agencies and international organizations. Capacity building is another function of NGOs. NGOs invest in building the capacity of local organizations, governments, and communities to address their own challenges. Training programs, workshops, and knowledge-sharing initiatives help enhance the skills and capabilities of individuals and institutions. Capacity building is essential for the long-term sustainability of development efforts. Environmental conservation and sustainability are other important functions of NGO. Environmental NGOs focus on conservation, sustainable development, and climate change mitigation. They engage in activities such as reforestation, wildlife preservation, and advocating for environment-friendly policies. By promoting sustainable practices, NGOs contribute to the preservation of ecosystems and biodiversity. Promotion of human rights is another major function of NGOs. Human rights NGOs work to protect and promote fundamental rights and freedoms. They monitor human rights violations, provide legal assistance to victims, and raise awareness about violations on local and global scales. NGOs contribute to the development and strengthening of international human rights norms. In essence, the functions of NGOs are multifaceted and adaptable to the evolving challenges facing societies worldwide. Their agility, grassroots engagement, and commitment to positive change make them indispensable actors in the pursuit of a more just, equitable, and sustainable world. Dear students, let us now discuss the role of various non-governmental organizations in development administration. Development administration as a field encompasses the organized efforts to promote socio-economic progress, elevate poverty, and enhance the overall well-being of communities. In this context, NGOs play a pivotal role in shaping and implementing development policies and programs. Their involvement spans a wide range of activities, from grassroots initiatives to international collaborations. This comprehensive discussion explores the multifaceted role of NGOs in development administration. NGOs have a rich history rooted in social movements, advocacy, and community service. Over the decades, their role in development administration has evolved significantly. Initially, NGOs were often viewed as supplemental actors, providing services that governments could not adequately deliver. However, with time, their functions expanded to encompass advocacy, policy formulation, and collaborative partnerships. Let us look at NGOs' advocacy and policy influence. NGOs actively participate in the policy-making process, advocating for inclusive and sustainable development policies. They contribute by providing insights, conducting research, and presenting evidence-based recommendations. Also, NGOs often serve as watchdogs, ensuring that policies address the needs of marginalized and vulnerable populations. They advocate for human rights, gender equality, and social justice. Community empowerment and capacity building. NGOs work at the grassroots level, empowering communities through education, skill development, and capacity building initiatives. By fostering self-reliance, NGOs contribute to sustainable development. Some NGOs focus on enhancing local governance structures, facilitating community participation in decision-making processes, and strengthening institutions at the community level. Service delivery and program implementation. Many NGOs directly provide essential services in areas such as healthcare, education, and social welfare. This is particularly crucial in regions where government resources are limited or inaccessible. NGOs often collaborate with governments and international agencies to implement development projects, ensuring effective and efficient project delivery. Research and data collection. NGOs conduct research to understand the root causes of issues, assess the impact of policies, and identify effective interventions. This data-driven approach enhances the credibility and effectiveness of development programs. NGOs contribute to the continuous improvement of development initiatives by monitoring and evaluating projects, providing valuable feedback to optimize outcomes. Humanitarian assistance and emergency response. In times of crisis, NGOs are often among the first responders, providing emergency relief, health care, and support to affected populations. Their agility and global reach make them instrumental in humanitarian efforts. NGOs also engage in disaster risk reduction and preparedness activities, mitigating the impact of disasters on communities. International collaboration and advocacy. Many NGOs operate internationally, collaborating with governments, international organizations, and other NGOs. They contribute to global development agendas and advocate for policies that address cross-border challenges. NGOs actively participate in achieving international development goals, such as the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, through advocacy, awareness campaigns, and collaborative initiatives. Environmental conservation and sustainable development. Environmental NGOs focus on conservation, sustainable development, and climate change mitigation. They engage in activities such as reforestation, wildlife preservation, and advocating for environment-friendly policies. NGOs play a crucial role in promoting sustainable development practices, influencing both public and private sectors to adopt environmentally responsible strategies. Inclusive development and social inclusion. NGOs actively work to address social and economic inequities. They implement programs that prioritize inclusivity, aiming to ensure that development benefits all members of society, regardless of their background or circumstances. Many NGOs focus on promoting gender equality by addressing issues such as gender-based violence, unequal access to education, and economic disparities. The role of NGOs in development administration is multifaceted and dynamic. From grassroots initiatives to international collaborations, NGOs contribute significantly to shaping policies, implementing programs, and advocating for inclusive and sustainable development. As the global community continues to grapple with complex challenges, the partnership between governments, NGOs, and other stakeholders become increasingly crucial for building a more equitable and prosperous world. Dear students, let us now look at the challenges and criticisms against NGOs. While NGOs play a crucial role in development administration and contribute to positive change, their operations have not been without criticism. It is important to recognize these criticisms to foster a more nuanced understanding of their impact and address challenges in their functioning. One of the major criticisms is regarding accountability and transparency issues. One common criticism revolves around the accountability and transparency of NGOs. Some NGOs may lack clear mechanisms for financial reporting, and concerns arise about the misuse or misallocation of funds. Limited oversight and accountability can lead to a lack of trust among donors, governments, and the public, potentially hindering the effectiveness of development initiatives. Another concern is dependency on external funding. Many NGOs heavily rely on external funding sources such as donor agencies, foundations, and governments. This dependence can compromise the autonomy of NGOs and may influence the agenda they pursue. The risk of funding fluctuations and sudden cessation of financial support can also impact the sustainability and continuity of development projects. Another criticism is about inefficiencies and duplication. Critics argue that the proliferation of NGOs can lead to duplication of efforts and inefficient use of resources. In some cases, multiple NGOs may operate in the same geographic area, providing similar services without sufficient coordination. This fragmentation can lead to gaps in coverage and undermine the overall impact of development programs. Limited local participation and ownership is another challenge. Some NGOs have been criticized for not fully involving local communities in the decision-making processes. This top-down approach can result in projects that do not align with the actual needs and priorities of the communities they aim to serve. Lack of local ownership can lead to a disconnection between the goals of the NGOs and the aspirations of the community, potentially diminishing the long-term sustainability of projects. Political neutrality and bias is another concern. NGOs, despite their commitment to neutrality, may be perceived as having political biases or aligning with particular ideologies. This perception can compromise their credibility and hinder their ability to work effectively with diverse stakeholders. In some cases, NGOs may face challenges navigating complex political landscapes, impacting their ability to advocate for change without being seen as partisan. Another criticism is about short-term focus and project-centric approach. Critics argue that NGOs driven by project-based funding cycles often prioritize short-term outcomes over sustained systemic change. This can lead to a focus on easily measurable indicators at the expense of addressing deeper structural issues. The project-centric approach may not effectively address the root causes of poverty, inequality, and other development challenges. Cultural insensitivity is another problem. NGOs operating in diverse cultural contexts may face criticism for lacking cultural sensitivity. Failure to understand and respect local customs, traditions, and social structures can lead to unintended negative consequences and community resistance. Cultural insensitivity may undermine the effectiveness of interventions and strain relationships with local communities. Dear students, let us now conclude this lecture. In today's lecture, we discussed about NGOs and their functioning. We also discussed about the role of NGOs in development administration. We observed that NGOs in development administration are vital, yet they face critiques. Critics highlight issues like accountability, transparency, and dependency on external funding. Concerns also encompass inefficiencies, insufficient local participation, and potential cultural insensitivity. Political neutrality and short-term focus are questioned. To maximize impact, NGOs must address these challenges, ensuring transparency, fostering community involvement, and promoting cultural sensitivity for sustainable and inclusive development outcomes. So, dear students, it was all about today's lecture. I hope you enjoyed learning about NGOs and development administration. I look forward to our next meeting where we will discuss another topic. Until then, take care and goodbye.